He thought she was just his maid, but when he followed her one quiet evening, what he saw on that lonely street made him question everything about wealth, kindness, and what truly matters. You've been watching Black Inside 2.0, where every story touches the heart. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more emotional, life-changing stories. The sun bathed the streets of Maplewood Heights in soft gold, reflecting off the gleaming windows of mansions lined perfectly along trimmed lawns. Inside one of those grand homes lived Michael Adams, a man everyone in the neighborhood envied, a self-made millionaire, owner of several restaurants across the state. He had everything: money, power, status. Yet, behind those polished smiles and tailored suits, there lived a quiet emptiness. Every morning, his house came to life before he even woke up, thanks to Grace, his maid. A quiet black woman in her early 30s, Grace had been working for him for 2 years. She was always early, always polite, always efficient. She spoke little, worked hard, and left without asking for anything. To Michael, she was just part of the background of his comfortable life. But one morning, something caught his attention. Grace seemed tired, her eyes heavy, her steps slower. When he asked if she was all right, she smiled faintly and said, "I'm fine, sir. Just didn't sleep much." Then she went back to cleaning the marble floor, humming softly to herself. That song, a soft, soulful tune, lingered in his head long after she left. The next few days, Michael began noticing little things. Grace always refused extra pay when he offered overtime. She wore the same faded brown dress often, patching it at the sleeves. Sometimes, when she thought no one was watching, she paused by the window and stared out toward the distant horizon, eyes lost in thought, as if she was carrying a whole world of worries behind them. One evening, as he walked past the kitchen, he overheard a faint whisper from Grace's phone. She was sitting alone, her voice trembling. "Mama, I'll bring the medicine tomorrow. I promise. I just need to finish this shift first." Michael froze. She hung up quickly when she saw him enter. "Sorry, sir. I was just confirming something for my mother," she said, trying to hide the worry in her eyes. That night, for the first time, Michael couldn't sleep. Her tired eyes haunted him. Following Grace, Friday evening came. Grace finished cleaning the dining hall and quietly left at sunset, holding 2 brown grocery bags in her hands. Michael, dressed in a sleek suit, stood by his window and watched her fade into the street. Something in him stirred. A voice said, "Go. See where she goes." Without thinking twice, he grabbed his car keys and followed her at a distance. Grace didn't take the bus. She walked, through neighborhoods where the houses got smaller, paint chipped, and streetlights flickered weakly. For 20 minutes, Michael followed silently, his luxury car crawling behind. Finally, Grace turned onto a quiet street lined with old houses. She stopped at a small, broken-down home with peeling paint and a sagging porch. She entered quietly. The lights inside flickered to life, dim but warm. Michael parked nearby and sat still, watching. Through the window, he saw Grace kneel beside an older woman lying on a small bed. Her mother. Grace smiled gently, feeding her soup from one of the bags. Then she pulled out a bottle of medicine and placed it in her mother's hands. "See, Mama, I told you I'd get it," she said softly. The older woman smiled weakly. "You work too hard, my child." Grace laughed, though her eyes shimmered with hidden tears. "Hard work never killed anyone, Mama. We'll be okay." Michael's chest tightened. He had never imagined his maid lived like this, giving everything she had just to keep her mother alive. A hidden life. He watched as Grace packed up small school supplies into a bag and left the house again. Curious, he followed her once more, this time to a small community center near an old church. Through the window, he saw her surrounded by children, smiling brightly now. She was teaching them, helping them read and draw, her laughter soft but radiant. Michael stood there, heart heavy. This woman who cleaned his floors spent her nights shaping young lives, unpaid, unnoticed, yet full of love. He drove home silently that night. His mansion felt colder than ever. The next morning, Grace arrived on time, tired but smiling. She greeted him politely and started sweeping the hall. Michael walked up to her and said, "Grace, you don't have to come tomorrow. Take some rest." She froze. "Sir, am I being let go?" He realized how his words sounded and quickly added, "No, not at all. I just mean, take a day for yourself." Paid. Grace looked shocked, almost confused by his kindness. "Thank you, sir, but I can't afford to miss a day's work. Mama's medicine is expensive." Her words struck deep. That night, Michael made a call to his accountant. I want to open a foundation. Quietly, anonymous donations, for single caregivers and educators in low-income communities. The twist. 2 weeks later, Grace came to work as usual, only this time, there was an envelope on the kitchen counter addressed to her. She hesitated before opening it. Inside, she found a letter and a check, not from Michael, but from the Maplewood Kindness Foundation, granting her full funding for her mother's medical care in her community center classes. Her hands trembled, tears filled her eyes. Who would do this? She whispered. Michael watched from his study, unseen. For the first time, he smiled, a genuine one. But that night, something unexpected happened. Grace didn't come to work the next morning. Instead, she left a small note on his doorstep. Greater than, Mr. Adams, you don't know how much your kindness has meant to me, but I can't accept this blessing without giving something back. I've recommended you as a mentor for our youth program. They need someone who knows what it's like to build from nothing. I believe your story can change their lives, just like your kindness changed mine. Grace, the redemption. That evening, Michael drove to the small community center. The same children greeted him with curiosity. Grace stood at the back, smiling warmly. For the first time, Michael sat down among them and shared his story, not about money, but about failure, hope, and rising again. Weeks turned into months. The millionaire who once lived alone in a mansion now spent his evenings teaching life skills to kids who had never been given a chance. And Grace, she continued to care for her mother, but now she wasn't alone. One day, after class, Michael walked Grace home. You changed my life, he admitted quietly. Grace smiled. No, sir, you changed your own, you just needed to see what mattered first. The final twist. A year later, Michael's restaurants were thriving, but he no longer ran them from behind glass walls. The Maplewood Foundation had expanded, helping hundreds of caregivers like Grace. At an annual event celebrating community heroes, Michael prepared to give an award to Grace for her service. But when he called her name, she stepped up with someone beside her, her now healthy mother, standing tall. Grace handed him an envelope in return. Mr. Adams, she said softly, you once helped me anonymously. It's my turn to do the same. Inside was a check, her savings from the new literacy programs. To help the next Grace out there, she said, tears glimmering. Michael's voice broke as he replied, you've already helped the world more than money ever could. The crowd stood, applauding. The lights dimmed, and a soft melody filled the room, the same song Grace once hummed while cleaning his floors. The moral, the camera pans to Michael walking down that same street where he first followed her. Now, it's brighter, filled with laughter from children playing outside. Sometimes, the people we overlook carry the greatest stories of strength and love. It only takes one moment of compassion to turn a life around, sometimes even your own. This story reminds us that kindness can change everything. You've been watching Black Inside 2.0, where every story touches the heart. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more emotional, life-changing stories.